The massive scout ship hung silently in Earth's orbit, its crystalline hull reflecting the pale blue glow of the planet below. Inside, 3 watchers stood before their viewing screen, their tall, slender forms casting long shadows in the dim light of their observation deck. They had discovered many worlds before, but Earth made them nervous. The lead observer moved his long fingers across the control panel, zooming in on a busy city street. The beings below walked on 2 legs, showing their teeth as they talked, and moved with an unsettling quickness that made his inner membranes flutter with anxiety. Most curious, he said to his companions, "These humans have barely reached their moon, yet they build such complex societies." He adjusted his scanner, focusing on a small gathering in what humans called a park. "Look at how they move. Always alert, always watching. Even their young show signs of tracking behavior." The second observer, newer to the Discovery team, leaned forward. "But surely they're not advanced enough to join the Federation. They still burn fossil fuels, and their space technology is primitive at best." A sudden movement on the screen caught their attention. A human child was chasing a small animal, laughing as it ran. The third observer quickly turned away, his color shifting to a pale green. "Did you see that? The young one was hunting for pleasure. They're teaching their offspring to enjoy the pursuit." The lead observer kept watching, his inner thoughts troubled. In all their years of exploring the galaxy, the Watchers had never encountered a species quite like this. Most civilizations advanced enough for contact had evolved past their aggressive instincts. The peaceful races of the Federation had long ago given up hunting, warfare, and violence. But humans were different. They had built cities that stretched across continents, created art that moved the soul, and developed medicines that showed deep compassion. Yet they had done all this while keeping their predatory nature intact. The observers watched as their screens showed more scenes from around the planet. Humans playing sports, competing fiercely but helping fallen opponents stand. Humans in what they called restaurants, eating both plants and animal products without shame. Humans training in combat while others worked to cure diseases. It was a confusion of contradictions. "We should report this to the High Council," the second observer suggested, his voice trembling slightly. "These humans, they're dangerous. Look at their entertainment. They still tell stories of hunting, of fighting, of conquest." The lead observer nodded slowly, but couldn't take his eyes off the screen. "Yes, but notice how they also protect. See there." He pointed to a human rescuing a small animal from danger. "They hunt, yet they save. They fight, yet they heal. I've never seen anything like it." As the Earth turned below them, the observers compiled their report. Their ship's sensors recorded everything. The speed at which humans moved, their quick reactions, the way their eyes tracked movement. Most disturbing were their teeth, still clearly designed for tearing meat, and their hands, equally capable of creating beautiful objects or forming into fists. The lead observer finished the report with a personal note. "The humans represent a unique challenge to our understanding of civilization. They have advanced technologically and culturally while maintaining biological traits we long considered incompatible with enlightened society. Most troubling is their retention of predatory instincts alongside their capacity for reason and compassion." As he sent the report to the High Council, he felt a mix of fear and fascination. The Federation had strict rules about accepting new species, and humans broke almost every guideline for peaceful civilization. Yet something about them suggested untapped potential. The scout ship began its quiet retreat from Earth's orbit, its crew both relieved to be leaving and strangely reluctant to go. They had discovered many worlds, but Earth was different. For the first time in their long history of exploration, the Watchers had found a species that made them question their own definition of advancement. They didn't know it yet, but their discovery would soon change the galaxy forever. The predators of Earth were about to take their place among the stars, whether the Federation was ready for them or not. The diplomatic ship touched down in a large clearing outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. Its crystal surface sparkled in the morning sun. drawing gasps from the crowd of journalists and officials gathered behind the security barriers. Ambassador Vale stood at the ship's entrance, his tall frame trembling slightly despite his diplomatic training. The human welcoming party approached slowly, following the protocol established during earlier communications. They smiled, and Vale noticed again how they showed their teeth, a gesture his kind saw as threatening, yet humans used to show friendship. It was one of many contradictions his team had to adjust to. "Welcome to Earth," said the UN Secretary, extending his hand. Vale had practiced this greeting, but still flinched slightly at the quick movement. He reached out his own long-fingered hand, noting how the human's grip was carefully controlled, strong enough to show respect, but gentle enough not to alarm. The first meetings went smoothly on the surface. The humans were eager to learn about the Federation, asking questions about technology, culture, and trade. But everything changed during the formal dinner that evening. Vale watched in hidden horror as the humans consumed their meals. Though they had prepared special vegetable dishes for the Watcher delegation, the humans themselves ate meat openly. One diplomat even asked if Vale would like to try some, not understanding how the very idea went against everything the Watchers believed about civilized behavior. "You must understand our concern," Vale said later in the private meeting room. "Your species still consumes other living creatures. Your cities have places dedicated to combat sports. Your children play games involving pursuit and capture." The human representatives exchanged looks. "These are parts of our nature," explained Dr. Miller, a leading human scientist. "We've learned to channel our instincts in productive ways. Our competitive drive pushes us to excel. Our hunting instincts help us solve problems and protect the weak." Vale's color shifted to a troubled blue. "Yesterday, I saw two humans fighting in what you call a boxing match. Yet afterward, they embraced. How can you maintain such violence alongside civilization?" The humans tried to explain about sports, about controlled competition, about the difference between violence and structured combat. But Vale saw the bigger picture. Every human city had security forces. Every nation had armies. They prepared for violence, even in times of peace. During the next few days, Vale's team gathered more disturbing evidence. Humans could run for hours, tracking prey over long distances. Their eyes focused quickly on movement. Their bodies produced chemicals that made them stronger and faster in dangerous situations. Even their games involved strategy and tactical thinking that seemed too close to hunting behaviors. "They're not ready," Vale told his team as they prepared their report. "They're too dangerous. The Federation cannot risk." He stopped as a commotion erupted outside their ship. A small human child had wandered past the security barriers and fallen into a drainage ditch. Without hesitation, one of the human guards jumped in to save her. Vale watched as the same hands trained for combat now gently lifted the child to safety. The same speed used for hunting was turned to protection. The same strength that made them dangerous made them capable of rescue. Still, the rules were clear. Vale's final report recommended Earth's quarantine, even as doubt crept into his mind. The humans were predators, yes, but they were something else too. Something the Federation had never encountered before. As the diplomatic ship lifted off, Vale looked down at Earth one last time. The humans had given them a warning that still echoed in his thoughts. Dr. Miller's words seemed almost prophetic now. "Being civilized doesn't mean denying our nature. It means choosing how to use it." Vale didn't know it then, but this wouldn't be his last visit to Earth. The predators he feared would soon become the protectors he needed, and all his carefully written reports about human nature would take on a very different meaning. The barrier appeared without warning. One day, Earth's ships could travel freely through space. The next, they hit an invisible wall. It stretched like a bubble around the entire solar system, trapping humanity inside their cosmic neighborhood. The Watchers had turned Earth into a cage. Dr. Miller stood at his lab window, staring at the strange shimmer in the night sky. The barrier was beautiful in a way, catching starlight and making it dance. But its beauty didn't make it any less of a prison. He turned back to his team, who were studying pieces of Watcher technology left behind during the diplomatic visit. "Look at how the crystal structures change when we apply different energy fields," one of his assistants said, pointing to a screen showing microscopic images. The Watchers thought they had collected all their technology before leaving, but they had forgotten about the small gifts they had given to Earth's scientists. Simple things like data storage crystals and atmospheric sensors. Those little pieces were now humanity's best hope. Dr. Miller picked up one of the crystals, holding it up to the light. "They think we're dangerous because we're predators," he said to his team. But they forgot that predators are also problem solvers. We don't just chase, we figure things out. In labs around the world, humans work together like never before. The quarantine had done something the Watchers didn't expect. It had given humanity a common goal. Old rivals shared research. Former enemies pooled resources. The predatory drive that scared the Watchers now pushed humans to break free. 3 months after the barrier appeared, Dr. Miller's team made their first breakthrough. They discovered that the Watcher crystals responded to human brainwaves in unexpected ways. 6 months later, they built their first working copy of Watcher technology. It wasn't as elegant as the original, but it worked. "The Watchers think in straight lines," Dr. Miller explained to world leaders. "They see a problem, they find the most peaceful solution. But we think like hunters. We look for weak spots. We try different angles. We adapt." The first test of their barrier-breaking device failed spectacularly. The second test caused a small power outage across 3 states. But humans kept trying. They learned from each failure, adapted their designs, and tried again. It was the same determination that had once helped their ancestors track prey across vast plains. 1 year after the barrier appeared, they were ready for their biggest test. The device, now installed on a space station, hummed to life. Dr. Miller watched from the control room as energy readings spiked. This time, something different happened. The barrier rippled like water. A small hole appeared, just for a few seconds, but their sensors recorded everything. It wasn't big enough for a ship, but it proved something important. The barrier could be broken. "Send the data to every research center," Dr. Miller ordered. "Let everyone see that it's possible." He knew what would happen next. Humans would improve the design. They would find ways to make the hole bigger, keep it open longer. The hunt for freedom had just begun. In their rooms at night, the research team watched old nature documentaries about Earth's predators. Wolves working together to survive, lions adapting their hunting strategies, dolphins using intelligence to catch fish. They weren't watching for fun. They were reminding themselves of who they were. The Watchers had made a serious mistake. They thought they were caging a violent species, but instead they had challenged humanity's most powerful traits: determination, creativity, and the drive to overcome obstacles. The very things that made humans predators were now the keys to their escape. Dr. Miller made one final note in his journal that night. "The Watchers built a perfect cage, but they put problem-solving predators inside it. Nature has already shown us how this story ends. Every perfect cage eventually meets a creature clever enough to break it." The news reached Earth through a gap in the barrier. The Watchers' Great Federation was under attack. Strange ships made of dark metal moved through space like a swarm of insects, destroying everything in their path. These were the Raiders, machines that had evolved beyond their creators, feeling neither fear nor mercy. Dr. Miller watched the intercepted transmissions with his team. The Watchers' messages were filled with panic. Their peaceful civilization had no weapons. Their ships had no defenses. They had forgotten how to fight, and now they faced an enemy that knew nothing else. "Play that last part again," he said, leaning forward in his chair. The screen showed a Raider ship tearing through a Watcher colony. The machines were efficient, methodical. They didn't attack with anger or cruelty. They simply destroyed, like a virus spreading through a body. "The Watchers don't understand them," one of his assistants said. "They keep trying to communicate, to reason with them. The team watched as another peaceful attempt at contact ended in destruction. But humans understood. They had made movies about this kind of enemy for hundreds of years. They had imagined this fight in stories and games. While the Watchers saw only senseless violence, humans recognized a predator's pattern. The raiders attacked in waves, like wolves hunting in packs. They cut off escape routes, like lions cornering prey. They adapted to their opponent's tactics, like every successful hunter in Earth's history. The Watchers' perfect, peaceful society was facing something they had evolved away from: the hard truth of survival. In his lab, Dr. Miller looked at their barrier-breaking device. It wasn't ready for a ship to pass through, but it could send a message. He typed quickly, sending Earth's first response to the Watchers' crisis: "We can help you fight them." The Watchers' reply came hours later, full of confusion and fear. They didn't want to fight. They didn't know how. Their message ended with a question that showed how desperate they had become. "How can you know what to do against such things?" Dr. Miller smiled as he typed the answer. "Because we're predators too. We understand how they think. We know how they hunt. And we remember what they've forgotten. Sometimes you have to fight to protect peace." The next transmission they intercepted showed the raiders getting closer to Earth. The machines had detected the energy from humanity's barrier-breaking attempts. Like any efficient predator, they were drawn to signs of activity, to potential new resources to consume. "They're coming here next," Dr. Miller told the world leaders. "But we have something the Watchers don't. We never forgot our predators' instincts. We just learned to control them, to use them when needed." The human response surprised everyone. Instead of panic, there was focus. Instead of fear, there was preparation. Military leaders studied the raiders' tactics with the same attention their ancestors once used to study animal tracks. Scientists looked for weaknesses with the patience of hunters waiting in blinds. The Watchers watched in amazement as their quarantined predators turned into determined defenders. Humans didn't try to reason with the machines. They didn't seek peaceful solutions. They prepared for a fight with the focused intensity that had once made them Earth's most successful hunters. Dr. Miller sent one final message to the Watchers that day: "You locked us away because our predator nature scared you. Now that same nature might save your civilization. Let us out of this cage, and we'll show you why Earth's predators became its protectors." The barrier above Earth shimmered in the sunlight, but it no longer looked like a prison. Soon it would become a battle line, where humanity would prove that being a predator meant more than just hunting. It meant protecting your territory, defending your allies, and fighting for survival. The Watcher's ship broke through the barrier at exactly the right spot, following the path Dr. Miller's team had mapped out. Ambassador Vale stepped onto Earth's soil for the second time, but now there was no diplomatic ceremony. His tall frame shook with fear as he delivered the news they already knew: the raiders were coming. "We need your help," Vale said, his color shifting to deep blue with shame. "We were wrong about your species. What we saw as primitive violence, we now understand was strength." Dr. Miller stood with military leaders as they showed Vale their plans. The Watchers had shared everything they knew about the raiders: their movements, their patterns, their weapons. Now humans took that knowledge and did what predators do best. They looked for weaknesses. "See how they move in groups," explained General Thompson, pointing to a holographic display. "Like a school of fish or a pack of wolves. That means they have to communicate. If we can disrupt that communication..." She didn't need to finish. Vale understood. Humans were thinking like hunters. The barrier that had trapped humanity now became their advantage. Dr. Miller's team had spent months studying it, learning its secrets. Now they didn't want to break it. They wanted to modify it. "We can turn your cage into a trap," Dr. Miller told Vale. "But we need your help to control it." The next few days were a blur of activity. Watcher ships arrived carrying their advanced technology, while human military vessels moved into position. The two species worked together, each bringing what the other lacked. The Watchers had the tools but didn't know how to use them as weapons. Humans had the tactical knowledge but needed better equipment. "Your people built amazing things," Dr. Miller said to Vale as they worked. "You just never thought about how they could be used to protect yourselves." He showed Vale how they had modified Watcher crystals to disrupt Raider communications, how they had turned peaceful scanning technology into early warning systems. The first Raiders appeared at the edge of the solar system, their dark ships moving like a cloud of locusts. The Watchers wanted to retreat, but humans held their ground. This was hunting territory now, and they knew exactly what to do. "Wait," General Thompson ordered as the Raiders approached. "Let them think they're hunting us." Her words reminded Vale of Earth's big cats, waiting patiently to ambush their prey. The Raiders were predators too, but they had never faced a predator that could think like them. The trap was simple but clever. The barrier hadn't been broken, it had been turned into a net. As the Raiders pushed through the first layer, thinking they had found weak prey, the humans sprang their trap. The barrier contracted, breaking the Raider fleet into smaller groups. Suddenly, the hunters became the hunted. Now, the order went out, and Earth's ships moved in. They didn't fight like the Watchers expected, with brute force and violence. They fought with the calculated precision of expert predators. They cut off escape routes. They isolated their targets. They used the Raiders' own hunting patterns against them. Vale watched in amazement as the battle unfolded. The humans fought with an intelligence that came from millions of years of evolution, from countless generations of creatures that had learned to hunt, to survive, and to protect their own. They weren't mindless killers. They were defenders, using their predatory skills to save others. The Raiders broke first, their swarm scattering in confusion. They had never faced an enemy that understood predatory behavior so well. As they retreated, Vale turned to Dr. Miller with new understanding in his eyes. "We locked you away because we thought predators couldn't be trusted," he said quietly. "We never considered that sometimes you need a predator to protect you from other predators." The battle moved beyond Earth's solar system as humans took the fight to the Raiders. Earth's ships, now enhanced with Watcher technology, followed the retreat of the mechanical swarm. Dr. Miller watched from the bridge of the lead ship, the Defender, as they chased the Raiders across space. "They're not running away," he said, studying the movement patterns on the screen. "They're regrouping." His years of studying Earth's pack hunters had taught him to recognize the signs. The Raiders were acting like wolves, appearing to flee but actually drawing their prey into a trap. General Thompson agreed. "They want us to follow them. They think we're like the Watchers, that we'll chase blindly." She smiled, showing her teeth in a way that still made Vale nervous. "But we're not going to hunt like they expect." The human fleet split into smaller groups, moving like a pride of lions surrounding their target. The Raiders had never faced this kind of tactical thinking before. They were used to the Watchers' straightforward attempts at defense, not this kind of coordinated hunting strategy. "Look at their formation," Dr. Miller pointed to the screen. "They rely too much on their swarm programming. They think like a single mind." He turned to Vale, who stood nervously watching the battle unfold. "But we humans learned long ago that the most successful predators know how to think independently while working together." The Raiders launched their counterattack, their ships moving in perfect synchronization. But humans had planned for this. Each ship captain made their own decisions while following the larger strategy, just as wolf packs hunted, together but thinking separately. "Now we show them why Earth's predators survived so long," General Thompson said. She gave the order, and the human fleet moved into action. Some ships played the role of prey, appearing vulnerable. Others hid in the darkness of space, waiting to strike. It was a hunting pattern as old as life on Earth itself. The Raiders' perfect formation began to break apart. Their programming couldn't handle opponents who acted both as individuals and as a group. When they adjusted to attack one human ship, 3 others would strike from different angles. When they grouped together for protection, they found themselves surrounded. Dr. Miller watched as the battle turned into a demonstration of everything that had made humans such successful predators on Earth. The ships moved with patience when needed, explosive speed when required. They set traps, created diversions, and used the raiders' strength against them. Vale couldn't look away from the screens. "Your people fight like the creatures from your world," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "Like the big cats that hunt in your grasslands, like the wolves in your forests." "We learned from them all," Dr. Miller replied. "Every predator on Earth taught us something. The patience of crocodiles, the teamwork of wolves, the strategy of lions. We didn't forget our nature. We built on it." The final phase of the battle began as human ships herded the remaining raiders toward a prepared trap. The machines tried to escape, but found themselves caught between human cunning and Watcher technology. The barrier that had once imprisoned Earth now served as a hunting tool, corralling the raiders like nets closing around fish. "This is why we survived on Earth," Dr. Miller explained to Vale as they watched. "Not just because we could fight, but because we learned to fight smart. We became the top predators on our world by understanding how to hunt, how to think, and most importantly, how to protect our territory and our allies." The raiders' swarm finally broke apart completely, their remaining ships scattered and helpless against the coordinated human attack. Earth's first major space battle was ending, and it had shown the galaxy something important. Humanity's predator nature wasn't just about violence. It was about skill, intelligence, and the ability to use their hunting instincts to defend others. The Great Hall of the Watcher High Council looked very different now. Where once only peaceful species had gathered, humans stood among them, their presence changing everything. Dr. Miller and General Thompson stood before the council, accepting Earth's formal invitation to join the Federation. First Speaker Lumen, the Watcher's highest leader, spoke with a voice that trembled slightly. "We must acknowledge our mistake. We judged humanity by our standards alone. We saw your predatory nature as a flaw, when it was actually a strength we had forgotten." The hall was filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Many still showed signs of nervousness around the humans, but their fear was now mixed with respect. They had all seen the recordings of how Earth's ships had protected Watcher colonies from the raiders. "Your people taught us something important," Vale said, standing before his fellow Watchers. His color shifted to show pride, an emotion he had learned from watching humans. "True civilization isn't about removing our original nature. It's about choosing how to use it." Dr. Miller stepped forward. In the months since the battle, humans had helped the Federation build proper defenses. They had taught peaceful species how to protect themselves without losing their gentle nature. It was a balance that humanity had learned over thousands of years. "On Earth, we have a saying," he told the council. "The most dangerous predators are often the most careful ones. They don't hunt for fun. They don't fight without reason. They understand the responsibility that comes with having power over others." General Thompson added her own thoughts. "We stayed predators because our world needed them. Every ecosystem needs both the gentle and the strong. The galaxy is no different. You needed someone who could fight, but who would choose to protect." The council members watched as images played on the great screens around them. Humans teaching Watcher children how to play safely. Human doctors working with Watcher healers, showing how predator instincts could help save lives. Human ships patrolling Federation space, not to hunt, but to guard. "We offer you more than membership in our Federation," First Speaker Lumen announced. "We offer our trust. Our worlds will be safer with Earth's predators watching over them. Our children will grow up knowing that strength can serve peace." Dr. Miller looked around the hall. He saw the same pattern that existed in nature on Earth, the balance between prey and predator, between peace and strength. Humans had found their place in the galaxy, not by changing who they were, but by showing who they had always been. "We accept this trust," he said, "and we make this promise. The predators of Earth will be the protectors of the Federation. We will guard your peace with the same instincts that once made you fear us." The ceremony ended with something new in the Federation's history, a celebration that included both peaceful songs from the Watchers and demonstrations of human martial arts. The two styles didn't clash as everyone had once feared. Instead, they created something new and stronger. Vale stood with Dr. Miller at the end, watching the mixed crowd. "Do you think the raiders will return?" he asked. Dr. Miller nodded slowly. "Probably. There are always threats in nature. But that's why predators exist, to face those threats so others don't have to. Your people learn to live without violence, and that's beautiful. Now let us remember it for you." As the celebration continued, the stars shone through the crystal ceiling of the Great Hall. Somewhere out there, the raiders were probably regrouping. But now, the Federation didn't face them alone. Earth's predators had taken their place among the stars, turning their hunting instincts to a greater purpose, protecting those who had chosen peace. The galaxy had changed. The predators of Earth had shown everyone that nature's gifts, even the ones that seemed dangerous, could serve the greater good. They had proved that being a predator didn't mean being a monster. Sometimes, it meant being exactly the guardian that peace needed.